The White House is defending itself on several fronts, even as rumors continue to swirl around the West Wing about who is leaving, who's staying.
The latest skirmish is over the president's plans to slap tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. KCAL9 political reporter Bryan joins us with the very latest.
Yeah, this has been one wild and crazy week at the White House. I think everybody recognizes that. After a barrage of tariff criticism from Republicans, free traders, libertarians, and even President Trump's chief economic advisor, the president declared today that trade wars are good. Well, that stunned even members of his own administration and topped off a week of surprises and turmoil at the White House. President Trump and First Lady Melania landed in Florida on Friday looking for a little peace and quiet after a rough and tumble political week at the White House, with members of his own party stoking fears that the president's new tariff campaign on imported steel and aluminum could ignite an international trade war and kill off thousands of U.S. jobs. President Trump responded, tweeting, "Trade wars are good and easy to win. We win big. It's easy." But a Wall Street Journal editorial isn't buying it. The Journal wrote Donald Trump made the biggest policy blunder of his presidency. His tax on aluminum and steel will hurt the economy and his voters. In response to charges that imposing tariffs and igniting a possible trade war would drive up the cost of consumer goods, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, pulled out a can of soup.
There's about 3 cents worth of tin plate steel in this can. So if it goes up 25%, that's a tiny fraction of 1 penny. It doesn't mean anything. So all this hysteria is a lot to do about nothing.
But critics charge while that may well be true of a can of soup, the cost increase for buying a car or other products that contain more steel or aluminum would certainly be considerably more than a few cents. And the president's tariff announcement shocked his top economic advisor, Gary Cohn, who had reportedly threatened to quit if the president imposed tariffs and protectionist policies.
Free, open, fair trade. It's pretty simple. Free, open, fair.
Democrats charge this is the kind of chaotic presidency they feared.
I've served under 6 administrations. I have never seen such chaos. Who knows what he'll do on trade tomorrow morning?
And then there was the gun issue.
Take the guns first, go through due process second.
President Trump zigzagged on gun policy, talking tough on Wednesday, chiding Republicans for being afraid of the NRA.
Now, this is not a popular thing to say in terms of the NRA, but I'm saying it anyway.
But then patching everything up by appearing to do a 180 during a Thursday night meeting with the NRA, after which the group's chief lobbyist tweeted all is good. The president and vice president, he tweeted, support the Second Amendment, support strong due process, and don't want gun control. Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer had this reaction.
I said during the immigration debate that negotiating with the president's like negotiating with Jell-O because his positions always change. It seems the same thing's now happening with guns.
Adding to the turmoil are rumors swirling around National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster, who could reportedly leave the White House in the near future despite administration denials.
Look, General McMaster's not going anywhere. If this is chaos, I think the American people are glad for it. If they want to call it chaos, fine, but we call it success.
There were, however, no presidential tweets on Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, who told NBC News this week that he has new high-tech weapons ready for the battlefield that can't be shot down.
As a matter of fact, every single weapon system discussed today easily surpasses and avoids an anti-missile defense system.
Now, we mentioned economic advisor Gary Cohn in the report tonight. Well, tonight the Wall Street Journal is reporting that friends and colleagues who have spoken to White House economic advisor Gary Cohn believe he could resign at any moment. The Journal reports that Cohn and other aides felt they were blindsided when word spread on Wednesday that the tariffs were coming. Jeff, back to you.